All right, everyone, it's time. We're going to be doing another Bringing the Thunder Kata together, right? Exercise. No,
No, probably not. Sorry for that. I have to kick you off again.
No,
My
no
session
kata.
for the next hour. No kata.
Okay.
It's Thursday.
No
It's
kata.
Thursday. We only do it on Friday.
I'll have the kata.
Wrong day. Sorry.
Hello and welcome to another exciting Bringing the Thunder. We're doing another exercise, another kata, and it's a special one because it's the last one before we go on a short holiday of 2 months. We'll be back in September with more videos, but don't worry about that. For now, you get to still enjoy this one. And for this one, I have with me a special guest, and he's right here. No, he's not. He's right. Where is he? Where is he? I think he's in Portugal. So we are remote. João, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All
Here.
right. I can hear you loud and clear. Can you hear me loud and clear as well?
Yes, indeed. From
Perfect.
Portugal, perfectly
All the way from
loud.
Portugal. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Amazing. All right. So, João, tell me a little bit about yourself. Who are you and what do you do here at Skyline Communications?
Yeah. So my name is João Severino. I'm a DevOps engineer at Skyline. I'm with the data acquisition domain, and we work in a variety of topics, as the name implies, mostly with data acquisition, so interacting with the real world. And a few months back, I did a kata regarding data API, similar topic,
Yes.
and today it's another big topic that within our domain we are responsible and we maintain, which is DIS, or
Right.
DataMiner Integration Studio.
Or integration, and it's an extension on Visual Studio, so it's useful for automation script development, connector development, and other things as well, I suppose, at least in the future. But so DIS, so what's the goal today? What are we going to see about this extension?
So the goal today is to get our users more familiarized with DIS, what it brings, and what they can use it for, so that they can enhance their development, their debugging, everything. So this is a very powerful tool, and our goal is so that our users know it exists and it can bring them as much value as we put into it.
Right, so it's an introduction video, or even for the people who are already familiar with it, you might even see a few things that you didn't know about. So it's like a quick, here's the UI, here's special modules, things that make the extension so great to use and really speed up development of all sorts to do with DataMiner. So any prerequisites? I'm going to give a small guess before you say it. I think we need Visual Studio.
Yes.
And I think we need the DIS extension. Any other requirements that we should?
No, it's helpful if you have a data miner you can connect to, but it's not strictly necessary. It's going to be mostly an overview, but to actually use it and to benefit, you'll then have a data miner where you can connect and publish your connectors or your automation scripts and so on.
All right. Okay. So optionally a data miner to connect to and to actually see some of the results, but an optional thing. Okay, great. So what have you got for us? What should we jump in?
So now you should be seeing my Visual Studio, and recently DIS has been made freely available for everyone, but now we made it available directly from the extension store from Visual Studio. So if you go to your extension manager, you'll see a bunch of things. And if you search for DataMiner Integration Studio, if I click go.
Okay, so it's directly in the marketplace of Microsoft now, Visual Studio. Okay.
Yeah, the main benefit from this is if you want, you can configure it to be automatically updated, and you don't need to go into Dojo and find it and download and install. Everything is in one place, basically making it even more streamlined than before.
Nice. Okay, so that's where we'll find it. And
Yeah.
I can see there's a little about screen as well, a little bit of information
Yeah.
there. Okay.
Yeah, it's a brief explanation of what DataMiner Integration Studio is, how it works. You can see here a bit of function editor, XML editor, and what I mentioned of the optionally you can have your DataMiner agent accessible, so you can publish and do some debugging, and a few benefits here that I will also highlight during this cut. So,
Awesome. Okay. So we've got it installed.
yeah,
Step one done.
yeah, it doesn't take that much time, but I already did, so we expedite. But you would click install, and you need to just restart Visual Studio, and it will appear. By default,
Okay.
it appears here in the under the extension menu, so you see JS. But so that I don't have to constantly be opening, I'll just do this. This is a Visual Studio thing, so that it will just restart for a second, and you'll see it will appear just on the main menu, so that it's easier to
All right. So
show
you
things.
can actually put it on the menu bar itself without having to click
Yeah.
further in and dig deeper down into. Okay.
Yeah, you'll see that now.
Already a quick little tip. So
Yeah.
even for the people already using DIS, that's a fun one.
Yeah. And it's valid for any extensions you have. So just a
Yeah.
customized menu. And you see that now instead of a bit hidden, it's more visible and you can access it with one less click.
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfect.
And
Okay,
as you can
there's
see,
there's a lot in there.
yeah, we have a lot of menus and submenus, but I'll go through the most important things, and you can then dive deep into each thing. The first thing you have here, it's the DMA, what I mentioned. If you have something, you can connect it easily. How can you configure? It's on the settings page. So settings page, you can add multiple DMAs. You can even
Other agents,
group them by your main DMS, so production, staging, and so on in development. You can even mark them as production, so it has an extra safety check, so you don't by accident publish things and break things. So you can configure multiple DMA connections, organize them, and have them easily accessible for future use.
Okay.
So main thing here, you'll have then a few extra tabs here for that. It's basically settings, some simple settings of how it looks like your account, so that you can connect to Skyline and retrieve things. So templates, and I'll get back to this in a bit when I demonstrate another part.
Yeah.
And just a few other settings and the information about which version you're currently use, the release notes and the licensing. So you can read this if you want, or if you need for some reason to know how our licensing works.
Right. Okay.
So this is just a brief overview of the settings. You can see that in here you have a bunch of things. Also, you have a send feedback, report issue, and help. The help will direct you to our docs page.
Yeah. Cool.
Similar to the about you saw before on the Visual Studio Marketplace. It's this first page, but in here you have a lot more where you can dive deeper and understand a lot of the features. As you can see, you have a lot of menus. So if you have a doubt, very likely it will be here.
Yeah,
Some explanation.
You can search in there and probably find details on anything you might have questions on. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I'll take the opportunity to say, if you have any feedback on things you would like to see, or if you find an issue, you have these buttons here that you can directly let us know, and we'll get back to you with the outcome of this.
Yeah, for sure, indeed. Very important. Let's not brush over that. Any feedback you have, feel free to do send that in. if you're missing anything in those tools, or if you encounter a strange scenario, you can report an issue, you can send that feedback. It's always very important to us to get that. So
Yeah.
awesome. Okay. And
So,
all right. And what's next?
so I briefly alluded to in the settings page about templates, and I'll show
Yes.
what that translates to. So right now, my Visual Studio is empty. I'm not doing anything, just as the start window. So
Yes.
let's start with creating a new project. If I go here to project, you'll see that by default, Visual Studio ships with a lot of different kinds of projects that you can create, console applications, Blazor, ASP.NET, a lot of things. And with DIS, we have also a special category where you'll get some templates for a basic automation script, connector, or user-defined APIs. In the future, we may add a few more here, and you'll get those.
Yeah.
And that's setting I glanced over is exactly that. So if I go back here to the settings,
There was
templates,
the templates in there. Yeah.
this is the NuGet that has this. So as you can see, the first check mark as startup, Visual Studio will check for this. If you want to contribute, you can do a pull request or go to GitHub and search for this NuGet. Or if you, on your usage base, you have a lot of custom things that you repeatedly do, you can create one based on our own and enhance that feature so that you have on your menu.
Very powerful, very flexible indeed. We give a bunch of them out of the box. The repository that holds those templates, if you look for GitHub and Skyline Communications, you'll find that repository. You can make changes, pull requests, or as Joao said, you can fork it, make your own templates, and then point DIS to those. So it's a really flexible feature. Very awesome. Cool.
Yeah. So,
all right.
And in this case, we have 3 here. I'll start just with the automation scripts so you can see what it does.
Okay.
It just in this case asks me for a solution name and for a path where to store, so I can just put somewhere nice.
It's all right. So everyone following along, you can make. So we'll start with an automation script solution here. Just place it somewhere on your system, and that'll use that template to really generate a lot of the boilerplate code that has to do with this.
So in this case, I just gave it a name, but you'll then use what is the purpose you're creating the scripts for. So I click next, just ask me for an ID. So let's say get elements, for instance. I need to get the elements in my DataMiner, and it will create those from a few text box where you configure things. You'll see that in a few seconds it should start showing up.
Right. And we also we have a similar one for connectors as well. Is there any big difference with DIS concerning automation scripts and connectors, or is the extension almost the same pretty much?
We'll see a bit further ahead. It has a few extra steps for connectors due to the more complex nature of them. So your automation script, typically it's a more simple thing, something that runs. Yeah, you don't need that much information. But you'll see here you have a README that gets installed. You have the Kata demo solution and my specific script here. So I call it get elements. And if I open the files, you'll see you have a bit of a boilerplate code. It's complaining, but I think this is just a small issue with my Visual Studio. Right. You will glance over just for a bit, but in essence, you'll have a bit of a boilerplate where you have the run method, the entry point, a few expected exceptions that can occur during the execution of the script, and that you can then handle them in the way you so wish. If it's a script abort, force abort, timeout, or integrity, you can do different things. In this case, if I'm not doing an interactive script, I could even remove this one. It's not important. And then you have the method here.
The actual
So,
run where you do most of the code, right?
Yeah. Let me just try to paste it. Just try to reopen so we can do. So,
you might need to build it or maybe restore the NuGet packages. Can you try that?
now it is.
If you...
Yeah, it's already
there
there.
you go.
Yeah, sometimes it does this, but as you saw, just Visual Studio having a glitch. Now everything is working.
Cool.
If I click build, it should build. It shouldn't have any errors.
Perfect.
And at this point, you have an automation script, but it behaves as any other Visual Studio solution. You can manage your NuGets in here, for instance. So if you go, you can also search for the Skyline ones.
Yeah, probably under browse. I think you're under installed right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Browse. So if you search for, you'll see a lot of things appear, but you can search for the NuGet you need. So let's see what for automation. Let me install this one.
Yeah, that's a very popular one, and that's the IDMS, colloquially termed the class library, because it was one of the first big libraries where we, as developers, added code to for reuse. Pretty much, gives access to the DataMiner system. Allows you to do things like get all the elements, which is what you named this script. So
so and in here I installed, but nothing is appeared. But besides all the templates and the NuGets, you can also use the snippets.
Yeah.
We have a few snippets as well. You can see you have a section for the IS and the automation script, class library, So as I just installed the NuGet, I use the snippet, and now I can do what I actually said the script was supposed to do. So mess.get elements.
Yeah. So, just a simple example.
Yeah, just a simple example. You could do a lot more things. So you have your snippets. You could even, let's say, create an information event for each one, or run another automation script. And as you can see, it starts adding a lot of code. You just need to then fill in the blanks.
Yeah, so that gets installed alongside the IS. It's part of the Integration Studio. You get a bunch of snippets that really kickstart a lot of the things you want to do with your code. That's awesome. Yeah, can really help speed up development times.
Yeah, that's the main goal, to automate and to speed up as much as possible so that you can focus in the actual business logic and the actual details that you need, and not have to search how can I get the elements, how can I call a subscript, and so on. So as much as possible, we try to provide all of these snippets and all of these templates.
Awesome. All right.
So to continue and to go over the rest, as you mentioned before, you also can develop connectors. I'll just save this if I want to come back to here later. Just a small thing. You also have the save compile script as and save all. So if you click here, you'll get a DMAP package that you can then use to
install it on
install. Yeah.
Okay.
You can, from the XML file, you'll see a publish button, but if it's a server where you don't have direct access, you can create the package and then remotely install.
All right, and otherwise you can click publish, and if you have that agent connected to DIS, you'll be able to automatically push it on there when you click that button.
Yeah.
Cool.
So just now I'll just go to the other template. So I'll close this one and repeat the process for the new.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So we'll create another project.
Yeah, and this time I'll select connector, click next. I'll give it a name, so I'm very original with my naming.
I think you missed a C in there.
I'm
Unless
very
you
original.
want, yeah, if I'm extremely original, it's
Yeah.
my
So,
connector. All right.
and I'll just put,
Yeah, and I think if I remember right, the connector development or driver development, protocol development, depending on how old you are, you'll have heard of those terms. I think that was the first reason why the DIS was invented at first. So I do think those the connector has a lot of features extra on top of it that an automation script currently doesn't have. But yeah, so I can see that we're filling in a bunch more information, a bunch more metadata on what is the connector, its name, provider, vendor, OID, device OID. I'm guessing you're just filling in nines now, just as a test. So people following along, you can do the same if you need to fill those in.
Yeah, if it's something that you then wish to make available in our catalog, you can request the vendor ID, the device ID, and the integration ID, so it gets properly registered. But I'm just
Testing.
here for demo, just so it has everything filled in, and I'm just filling in with a few example values. So I will select here, for instance, an SNMP connector, and once again, I'll introduce my initials. So as you can see, the other template had a few steps, a few fields to fill in. This has a few more, and once it creates the actual connector, you'll see what those are. What those do is all these tags here at the top of the XML, it pre-fills those in, so you can start developing and start looking at the code. And yeah, so just so you don't need to repeat yourself and find where is the right place, it has a bit more user-friendly way of configuring those.
Yeah, it adds in the boilerplate code again.
Yeah.
Fills in a lot of stuff for us. What are you doing in there now? You were adding a copyright? That's again a snippet, I think.
Yeah, just a small snippet here. Let me set this just so
Commented out.
Yeah, like this. So yeah, just another snippet. As you can see, it works both on C# code, on XML. We have snippets in most places. And you can see here the template for a connector comes with a compliance, automatically comes with an after startup logic and a precompiled quick action that if I open, you
so
see
it
that
gives you a basic connector setup already with some code in there that's very common in most connectors. So
very often you'll have a precompiled quick action that has your common logic so that you don't repeat your code. So it's good practice. And you also, very often you want to do something right as the element is starting up. So we provide you with an after startup quick action with all the logic done. And my Visual Studio. There's a glitch.
Murphy rearing its head again, as he does on most demos. Yeah, you were having a bit of Visual Studio problems before as well. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay. You might need to kill that and maybe try it again, I guess. Okay, so the connectors, they have the snippets as well as we saw. I do remember they have quite a lot more of them than the automation scripts does, because the connector itself is, for the people who are not aware, it's an XML file, a bit like you would have a JSON configuration file for another application or any service. DataMiner began way long ago by saying, hey, let's configure how we will speak to a device, and let's make that configuration file XML, giving you quite a few benefits, things like an XSD schema that allows you to really, validate that XML to make sure all of it is fine. So I can see you've gone in this solution again. We're now seeing C# code, actually, I think. So you opened up the quick action. So indeed, within an XML, we can see we have some quick actions there. Those represent C# code, correct?
Indeed. So as you can see, once again, with the same idea of always trying to make everything ready at your fingertips, you'll see that next to the quick action, you have these icons here that if you click, hopefully doesn't lock your Windows Studio and just opens what you need. So yeah, and in here you have the recompiled code, and in here you can go to your after startup logic and do something in here and say, just using another snippet just for argument's sake. I know there is a one for a logging, so.
All right. Yeah, so what that single line of code there, that would execute when you start up your element. So if you create in DataMiner a new element using this connector, the moment it starts, it runs this code, this logic.
Yeah.
Cool.
It has all the steps necessary to run it properly. So it's just a matter of you putting here. In this case, I added the log, but you could do a lot more things, as we saw before, with all the snippets and the nuggets we have available.
Okay, so we've seen the automation script. We've seen that you can add nuggets to it. We've seen a connector, and you also can add nuggets to that. We have those quick action XMLs that open up as a new project in C#, allowing you to work on them. Anything else you want to demonstrate here?
Yeah, as you can see here, you have, like I mentioned, we have a lot of things that are important at your fingertips.
Yes.
We already did a cut on the DIS validator.
Indeed.
Here it is. You can, with a single click, you see that I defined the general page, but it doesn't exist because I didn't add anything to it. Similar, you have a few other things. Display editor, so it's complaining about the page. Maybe I should add something in there. Table editor, version editor, and once again the publish. So the things we felt like were the most used and the most needed right away, we made it available. And we have a few more things. You have here a few tool windows. So this is the main one that I always have open when I work on it, because it gives me an overview of everything. So all the parameters,
a tree structure of your XML, pretty much.
Yeah, and it also allows you to navigate directly to where you need. So you can quickly find things that you. In this case, I have barely 100 lines here, but it could grow a lot, and this way you can find what you need and not have to continuously scroll over and over to find what you need.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, because a real quick tip, people watching that, if you open any XML and you have DIS installed, that tree structure actually also works on those. So just a quick little side note, if you want to hack things a little bit, any XML that you want to navigate through real quick, that thing actually works as well. So it's pretty awesome. Cool. Okay. So you were going to say something in there. So the DataMiner agent, DIS.
So you have, like I mentioned, you have the tree view, mappings. You can see, in this case, you cannot see anything, but you should be able to see parameters there.
Okay.
Another one is the diagram, and this is a very powerful one, especially if you're dealing with the large connectors. In this case, I want to see what my after startup parameter is linked to. and I see here a C# code, but I know for a fact it's not just this. So if I go here in quick bolt, I can actually see the entire path of where things start and where things go. This is very powerful for you to imagine that a colleague worked previously in this connector and need to pick up from him. You're not very familiar with a certain part of the connector. You can easily get some sense of what's going on,
Yeah,
what is calling a certain quick action and what he's doing.
that's really awesome. You get like an out-of-the-box flow chart of your
Yeah.
logic in the code, what is triggering, what is happening, where with an instance you can already see, even if you've never worked in that code before, you can open that up and take a quick look visually. That's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't replace documentation, but for people that are more visual thinkers, this can really help them understand. Okay, this trigger is connected to this action, to this, and so on and so on. So it's another way of visualizing the information of your connector. And just one final thing, as you can see, you have a lot of things here. The validator we mentioned before,
Indeed.
and also the DIS inject, which allows you to, if I connect to my localhost, if I were to publish this connector, it has a bug. I can easily, if it connects, okay, it's connected. I'll be able to find which elements I have created, and I can quickly attach, trigger, and go step by step and debug. It's
Right.
very, very useful as indeed. Hopefully you don't need it very often,
But it
but
can be handy, yeah, if you are
when you need it,
developing
it's
or
useful.
yeah.
Yeah,
So you would pretty much what it does is so you attach it to a running agent that has an element running the connector you're developing.
yeah,
You attach to it and allows you to place breakpoints and actually see what is happening on that agent with your connector right at that moment in time. So it is very powerful indeed.
yeah.
Cool. Okay.
So yeah, as you can see, most of the things I've been showing is ways of quickly accessing information, navigating, interacting with the code. I'm not
Yeah.
going to go too deep into code. You can see you have snippets, as I
Yes.
mentioned before, automation protocol.
Yes.
You have a lot of things you can do in here, but at this point, it's code. It's you already know what you're developing. You most likely have experience in C#, and just it's just extra things.
Okay.
And I think the goal here is to really for you to know what is available and
Yeah.
to use it.
Okay. So indeed, yeah. So we got a nice rundown here of some of the basics that really show you at least a little bit of DIS. There's plenty more in it, but I think, well, maybe at this point we should see, is there anything that they should screenshot, or should we do anything really critical still to indicate that they have looked through those menus and played around with it? Because that's the point behind, is it?
Yeah.
Play around with it. So what do you think they should still do for that?
I think they can, for instance, I'm here, I like my DS3s over here, I like the DS inject over here. I think they
Excellent.
can send us a screenshot of a connector, an automation script they are developing, and show us what's their preferred way of having the windows available. So
Yeah.
like
I
I
like
like
that. I love that.
DS3 and
Send us a screenshot of what your UI looks like in Visual Studio. If you are a developer who does a lot of development already, or if you just wanted to show that you found a lot of interesting things with DIS, set some windows up in your Visual Studio UI, take a screenshot of that, and if you send that in, we'll give you some DevOps points.
Yeah.
Right?
I just added here another one I really like to have. It's the DIS macros. Allows you to quickly do a macro to further automate the steps that you need to do.
All right. So, okay, I think Joao will probably cut it there, and I think this was a very awesome intro. We'll probably maybe do a follow-up on this as well, because there's a lot in there. The Integration Studio was, I think, an amazing example of DevOps. DevOps being that infinite sign you see all the time in marketing, as in you have developers who are working on a product and the developers are using the product. So anytime something goes wrong, the developers immediately tackle it and add things to it, make their life as easy as possible, which makes the life of our customers and user as easy as possible. So I think it's an awesome extension, an awesome example of what you can accomplish with DevOps as a whole. Joao, thank you very much for making some time and showing us this UI and letting us play around with it. Okay, and other than that, I would also say, if you are watching from YouTube, do not forget, like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you can tell when there's a new video. Very important now, because it might take a while before there is a new video. We'll be going on a quick holiday of 2 months before we have new videos for you. But other than that, I think that's probably it. So I will bid you adieu for 2 months, and then I'll catch you on the next one. I hope you enjoyed it. Good luck.